Hello and welcome to the Fat Dad Fishing Show. I'm your host, Rich Natoli. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see you. We have a cool one tonight. One of my favorite guests to have on, Elle from Heaven and Elle Outdoors. You've seen her on Instagram, Facebook, all over the place, probably on a boat next to you, catching more fish than you. And she's going to be on, and we're going to be talking spring fishing. Going to give everyone a heads up. We do have, as we've been having the last couple of times, we have like technical issues in the background on this one. So this one could be interesting. We keep losing connection and getting delays and everything, but hey, that's a live stream for you. But stick with us. We'll get through this, and we're going to have a good time talking about some spring fishing, specifically New Jersey. I'm pretty sure she's going to want to talk about tog, and maybe we'll talk some other species as well. Want to mention to everyone, please take a look at the sponsors of this show. We have Great Bay Outfitters. If you are looking for anything kayak related, head down to Radio Road, Tuckerton, and go in, see the guys at the shop there. They've got everything that you need. Old Town, they've got Native. Natives are new in there, just started selling those, and they're great boats. So if you want to get out on a kayak, go by there. It's the only shop I've used since they opened day one. And then also real estate needs. If you need anything, Pennsylvania, even New Jersey, Delaware, surrounding areas, let me know. My contact information was in the intro if you want to see that. Even if you're out of my area, I do have a huge network. I'm on one of the largest teams in the country. Actually, we're a top 1% team in our area, and I can get you in touch with somebody that's local to you that can really help you out. So with all that said, we're not going to delay. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to bring Elle on stage here. Elle, welcome back. Hopefully we can get through this and not have a totally disjointed conversation. Good to see you.
Good to you. Fingers crossed. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So the one thing is, what we may see on, for those that listen to the podcast and watch the live stream, if there are audio issues on the live stream, just know that those typically don't show up in the podcast because we do some local recordings that are then meshed together at the end. So we'll fight our way through this, but know that the audio should be cleaner once it actually comes out on the podcast later this week. So again, welcome. And we need to talk some spring fishing, and I need to catch up with you, and I want to hear what you've been up to, because man, I was gone for quite a while out of the scene, and you've had a lot of changes to, everything that's going on and what you're involved in. So why don't you give me a little heads up of what's been going on with you?
So I had at one point teacher. A lot of people don't know that, but might as well just tell people because people ask me all the time. But I work at a tackle shop in the summer, and I'm a teacher, and I teach middle school. So I had left teaching for a little bit, and had recently gone back to it. So that's what I've been doing. I cannot wait for June for many, many reasons, from school ending, obviously, summer and and all that good stuff. And then, we're at a tackle shop too over the summer. So that's always fun because I get to BS all the time about fishing and, just go on and on fishing. But I also recently, well, actually last year, I started a fishing club at the school that I work at. So I'm kind of busy trying to get that set up for this year. Last year was very good. Here I'm struggling at a little bit of like admin turnover. So it's not as streamlined as I got it to be last year. So that's what I'm up
awesome,
to.
though. That's awesome.
Thanks.
What's the age group? That is, it just middle school, or does it go throughout the district, different ages?
So I'm the only one doing it. I'm like begging people to try to help me. I just need another set of eyes, really, but everyone's so busy. So I have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I actually met today. I got like, I don't know, 5 kids, and I'm a person. And now I realize just how busy, like the head boats get in the summertime. Like unhooked, knots, all that good stuff. I feel like the mate because I'm just running around tying stuff. But yeah, it just gets really busy, and a lot of the younger grade parents are begging me. They're like, please just take my kid fishing, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I kind of get the feeling that I could probably quit teaching and do like a summer fishing tutor program for kids. The amount of people that ask me take my kid fishing is insane. um so that might be a lucrative
It
job,
could be. It could be fishing camp.
right? I
Yeah.
thought about it.
You'd have to
So
get people to help though. I mean, I can't imagine getting a bunch of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and having it just be me. I might just sit down in the middle of them and start crying. Yeah.
I mean, it's worth it. I like it. It's busy. The kids love it. Kids that you like have no confidence in themselves once they catch something, they're like on top of the world. And we all know that's what it's all about. So building up their confidence and showing them how to hard to show them in the moment because they're both so excited, and also it's like 5 other kids are waiting for me to unhook their fish. So, it there's so many levels that you don't think about actually doing it, and I'm like, I wish I, like, started this in the fall so that way I could show them knots, so that way we could, so it'd be easier for me, but we just don't have
Right.
the time. I don't have the time. I wish.
Well, you
In a
gotta
perfect world.
give them some videos and have them do homework, dropper loops and all
Right,
that
they
stuff.
they sit on YouTube way for hours and hours and hours, so might as well learn something. They're watching
Yeah.
dumb Minecraft instead.
Nah, they gotta learn how to tie the knots.
I know.
Hey, I just on
Actually,
my channel, there's the knots that they need. There's only like 3 knots that you need.
I should definitely show them Fat Dad channel,
Yeah.
not.
Or any channel.
I mean, we could. But really funny, so I do have a mix of girls that follow along, and it's really awesome to see, like, "Come on, girls, we could do this," and they're like, "But I don't know about fishing," and I'm like, "It doesn't matter." The girls are one of the ones to, like, actually focus and learn how to do the knots, which is really cool. And then, of course, they start catching more because 'cause they're not, standing around waiting for me to tie the
Yeah.
knot, and then everyone gets jealous of all the girls, so girl power.
That's great.
But
That's great.
they're just
That'll
so
teach the
much more
boys.
patient, you know? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, sexist or not, guys are not known for their patience, especially at that age. It's more of just kind of run around and there, but although they will start to feel it if the girls start winning and they
Oh,
start
yeah.
catching more,
Yeah, they get that.
yeah, maybe that'll
That's
get them
okay. Good
more
motivation for
engaged.
them.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. So what are you
yeah.
targeting when you take them out?
Oh, for April, spring tog, although I will say that spring tog has been very slow. Um, I tried the other day. It was probably the tide, but no, I couldn't even get rid of my bait. It was that slow.
Yeah,
And usually it is pretty slow from the start. So I'm looking towards the end of the month. Hopefully it'll pick up. And of course, once they do start picking, is when they start spawning.
right.
And that's very exciting, except it's such a tease. I'll never forget like the last day of tog, and I'm togging. This was last year, and all of a sudden you hear fish slapping everywhere, and oh my gosh, all the stripers are like running through, and so I pretty sure I ran home because I live right on the water. I ran home and got an SP something because I'm like, oh my gosh, the stripers, and I start casting, and then I'm like, wait a minute, these are tog spawning. Oh yeah, that was pointless to go get striper stuff because it was literally the tog spawning. So that's
Yeah.
kind of
Well, you can catch the striped bass on the tog stuff. I mean, they're gonna eat the same stuff. They'll eat the
catch
crabs
stripe.
and everything.
Yes. Although, like, I think 1-0 octopus hook for
Oh,
togging, so
yeah.
I don't know how effective that hook would be.
Yeah, probably not
And I didn't
very.
have, yeah, I didn't have big circle hooks, so
Oh, oh, that's right. I forgot about the circle hooks. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, I
Although,
have been
did
out
you
of it.
see? Yeah, actually. Did you see they in these like stupid? I think they're stupid. Sorry for anybody out there that thinks they're cool. Um, Obviously, all fishermen have differing opinions and techniques, and it's okay if you use it, but I stupid. So these tackle shops are trying to get around using bunkers. So bunker snags, you can't snag and right for stripers.
Yeah.
So the tackle shops, because they've actually been cracking down on people that are snagging bunker and dropping it, they'll get you with binoculars, whatever. And these tackle shops have been making like legal bunker snags that
I saw.
leave because there's circle hook. They're like two circle hooks on some sort of, it's almost like a drill. Like I don't know what you would call it. And they're snagging bunker with it and then dropping it because it's two circle hooks together. What do you think about that?
So my opinion is, if you have to do that, you're just a lazy fisherman. Like, just snag the damn thing and switch it. It takes about 3 seconds, and throw the damn thing out. And if you're fishing with a snag rod, it's not the right rod. Like, I don't know. I think it's so stupid. And people complaining before, oh, well, what about the snag and drop? It's like, snag it, switch it, and drop it. Like, the bass are
Yeah.
not going to leave that fast. Like, stop peeing your pants every time you see a fin come out of the water or a tail slap. Just do it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And if it pisses people off, I don't care. I think it's lazy and it's stupid. And the tackle
Okay.
shops are just, look, my hat off to them. Way to go, guys. You're filling a need, because there are definitely people that just insist that they have to be able to snag and drop like back in the 60s. Well, okay, grandpa. I shouldn't say that. I'm a grandpa. Uh, just relax. It literally, they're probably the same people that have to wear gloves to land a fish,
Oh my gosh.
or a towel,
I
or
want
a
to hear.
towel.
Come on, people at home. Again, I want to do this.
Yeah, really. I want to
I
see in
got
the
to see
chat,
what people
somebody in the
think about
chat.
it.
Yeah, somebody in the chat's like, go to hell, Rich. I prefer, and maybe you do prefer it. I can understand preferring it, but it's not that big of a deal,
Listen,
I don't.
it's fun to snag and drop or snag a bunker and fish with a bunker. Heck yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Is it fun to fish? Yes. Yes. But I just think that there are more fun ways. I don't know. I mean, I do the bunker chasing with the bunker and snagging bunker and the books about once a year. In
Yeah.
fact, it's kind of ironic that we're talking about this because the picture that you chose of the giant striper, probably the biggest one
Snag
I
and
ever
drop.
caught, was a snagged bunker and was on a charter. Yeah. So good times. But that's like
Yeah.
I only go striper fishing with bunker once a year. If it was on my birthday and it was like an all around, New Jersey has a lot of fish to offer. So we saw stripers on the way out, did the bunker. I got cut off. I had the biggest fish, but some guy on a truck ran over my line. The mate
Yeah.
was so mad that day. I'm pretty sure he had words with the guy. He was so upset. I was like, I think
Yeah.
you're like, I'm taking this better than you anyway. And then we went out for sea bass. It was in October, so sea bass, and then we caught lots of sea bass, giant trees. I think we might have stopped for on the way in, like all the way inshore, and then saw more stripers and that's when I got that big striper. That was on the sea owl. But anyway, yeah.
It's
So
nice.
I
That
do
was
that
a
once
nice
a year.
finish.
Yeah, it was a good time.
All right. So you're not going to be using the circle, snag, and drop.
No.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Um, so let me ask you about your spring tog. And I know you haven't done a lot of it yet because it does pick up later. I'm seeing some of the
Yeah.
charter boats are having some success, but it's spotty, right? And we'll just assume it's the time of the year, and we won't talk about the population of the fish or anything, and just assume it's just early. But
All
what are
right.
you gonna be mainly inshore, or are you going to be like
Yeah,
out
I
the inlets?
at this time, well, actually, I just covered the boat today, so boat's not in the water yet. I would rather at this point, instead of tog fishing from a boat, I would rather target winter flounder, and dolphins. But generally, I don't target tog boat, and I know that tog fishing from boat and tog fishing from land are super different. I'm actually terrible at fishing from a boat.
Oh,
I think I just got so used to tog fishing from land that I don't like, do I jig it? What do I do?
it's your
You know,
confidence.
I to being still, am I drifting? What are we doing here? But tog fishing from land, I pretty much know every single, like, nook and cranny of where I fish. So that's kind of what you got to do, is figure out the land. Um,
Yeah. It's
and people use, well, soft baits for now, but some people have been using crab, and that's actually been working decently. Um, at least, I guess, on a boat, it's been working.
yeah.
I always use sandworms and clam right now. That's what I use in the spring.
Okay. I look, I'm not the biggest tog fisherman for the spring. I really like it later and in the fall and into the winter.
Yeah.
Um, but I do hear a lot of use the softer baits earlier in the season. Um, but I don't know. I don't know that I mean there are some people that say, use the shrimp and all those things. I think
I've used
everything
shrimp
eats
before
shrimp.
too.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
use the cooked or do you use the raw?
No, I raw, but honestly, I would rather just eat the shrimp.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. You can put one on the hook and one in your mouth.
I'd rather just
May
eat
as
the
well.
shrimp. I think
Yeah.
other things work just as fine. So
Yeah. All right. So you're and are you using jigs in the back, or are you using just in the backwaters from land, or are you using a top and
in
bottom
the
rig, or
fall,
what are you doing?
yeah, in the fall, I use tog jigs more because I'm using crab. In the spring, if I'm using crab, I'll use a tog jig if it's slack enough. I don't like using a really big hook on a tog jig. Um, I've often debated this with people. We're a local shop. Everyone has their preferences, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
My preference is short shanked hook on a tug jig, and also not a wide gap hook. I feel like I foul hook more often when the hook gap is really wide and when it has a longer shank. So I I make my own stuff a lot. Absolutely hate boring tug jigs though. Believe it
Yeah.
or so I experimented a little bit with pouring tog jigs. I got a Collins mold that cost ridiculous amount of money because I like the shape of it, and I like the idea of being able to customize the hook shank, but I absolutely pouring tog jigs.
Yeah. Well,
So,
Ed
I
Ed
used All
always hated
American
it.
Tackle. Yeah, yeah. I used All American Jigs for a while. He changed his hook shank length, and, so I still have a few, like, from before he changed his hook. And mostly he changed it because more people wanted a longer hook shank. So again, curious what other people use too. People debate it all the time. They'll walk up to me and be like, I don't like hook. And I'm like, that's fine. Uh, Everyone has a preference. So yeah, that's just like a hook on everything basically.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that, as fishermen, we are really, really good at overthinking everything. Has to be a long shank,
Yeah,
has to
that's
be a short shank, has to be this line, has to be fluoro, has to be mono. And I think at the end of the day, you could probably, you know, drop with this if you had the same exact presentation of a bait on a short shank versus a long shank in front of a tog, in front of a world record tog, it'll eat one half the time and the other half of the time. I think if one's pink and one's green, it'll probably eat it 50-50. Or if there's any difference, it's like 53-47, percent. I just think that we catch ourselves on these differences much more often than we're actually doing anything to catch the fish. I just believe that in most cases, not all the cases. I mean, there are definitely colors that work better than others at certain times, but man, I think we really overthink a lot of stuff, and that's why I think it's actually funny when you see online. I've been guilty of this too, but here's, I caught this striped bass and I used this 7'6" medium heavy action rod, century blank or whatever, TFO blank, this reel seat with this Avid reel and this line and this leader and this. It's like, who the hell cares? So what? I get it.
The the guy that's sponsored by it cares.
Well, yeah, I guess, but it's like it's not like every post. It's like there are certain people that I see, and every one of us follows some of these people. But you see it, it's like, I know that you use that. I know it's a medium light because it's been the medium light for the past 73 fish that you posted. We get it. We get it. But I think it's overthinking it sometimes, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. But you
I
look,
get that
there's
a
a lot
lot
of
at the
time.
store. People are, or I'll be having a conversation with a customer and somebody walks over and they're like, don't use that. That's all wrong. And I'm like, listen, dude, you can use whatever the heck you want. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to come with you that you're using all this like stuff that's different from me. I don't care. Fish your own
Yeah.
fish. Do it however you want. I don't care. But when a customer asks for advice, and I always preface it by saying, this is just how I do it, okay? It's all personal preference, and it really is. I mean, like you said, sometimes the fish really don't care. I think really the only fish that cares about like things like color is stripers. They have totally different eyes than the rest of the fish, so that's really the only fish. And I don't striper is not my so sorry. I'm
Yeah.
a bottom
I
fisherman.
I remember when I was young, we would go out bluefish fishing, and you'd always hear, we'd go into Smuggler's Cove in Stone Harbor when it was around. That was our shop. And we would go in there and people are talking, we're using this and we're using that. And we get in the boat and my grandfather was like, white bucktail, that's all you need. That's all we did.
Um,
White
yeah.
bucktails, fishing for 'em, and we would outfish, a lot of people because they're just switching bait. It's like, look, just worry about
Mm,
the action. Worry about the presentation more than some of these other things. I think you're going to be much better off. And I think Tog is like that.
yeah.
I think if you just present it well, look, you can use this rig, that rig. I don't think it matters all that much. There may be a little bit of a difference. And maybe if you're really trying for the biggest fish possible, or you're really that good and you're really that experienced, then that's where those percentages come into play. But for the average person, I don't think most of it matters, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I
I mean, if I were like trophy or tog fit tog fishing for trophy fish, I would probably be a little more into, whatever tog jig I'm using.
yeah,
Like I would be using a wider because you're looking to catch big fish. So you're gonna be using bigger stuff. But if you guys knew where I was fishing in how deep a water, yeah, 1/0 hook is and 2-ounce sinker is just Dave. Like
yeah.
I don't need to be going crazy with these tog jigs. So
So I'll tell you this though. Keep in mind, a couple years ago, I had Matt from Sunrise Kayak Fishing on, and he caught in 14
I
feet of
remember that.
water. Yeah, that
Yeah, I remember
23-pound
that.
tog. So, and he wasn't using anything special. He was using his normal, looking for 18 to 20 inchers, and he pulled he pulled in that dinosaur. So yeah, I do want to mention this though. I think it's great, these guys that just fish lead heads. And I will, like everyone else, I'll get stuck on colors of jigs sometimes. Like I insist that I need to have white bucktails for fluke and white and brown as my number one, and then pink head and white, all this. I insist, but at the end of the day, I don't know that it actually is doing much except for making me feel better about it.
Like a placebo effect. I do
Yeah,
think I feel like I read an article or something where they said that in soldiers like bug out tins, they would put a bucktail because they're trying to survive
Yeah.
fish with. You could catch any fish with a bucktail, basically. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like I read an article about that.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
they
it
used to
makes
say
sense
that.
though.
Yeah, they would put it in like pilots bailout bags. Yeah. And I'll tell you this. I mean, I've caught a lot on a bucktail. I have caught tog on a bucktail by accident, but I've caught them when I was striper fishing near bridges. I've caught obviously fluke, bluefish, shark, tuna, mahi. I mean, you can just go right mackerel, Spanish mackerel. You can go right down the list. Redfish,
Yeah,
speckled trout, weak fish. Yeah, I think you could.
yeah.
I think you honestly could. Well, that's like Bayside
How
Dave.
about sea
He's
bass?
and sea bass. Yeah, and Bayside Dave is saying he's going to try to use every type of lure that he can to catch a flounder on this year. I think that's a pretty cool goal. So you could do during tog season. This is probably a fall thing. See what as many different types of lures that you can use in order to catch tog, and just see what it is. We may find out they're not as finicky as we think.
Maybe. I
The
don't
the
know.
difference
Wait,
is it's
is this
bottom
with
fishing.
bait on it or no?
I don't know.
With
I
bait
don't know.
on or no? You don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
I'm not
either.
sure.
Maybe we should try spark plugs and hand lines. Still
I
find
know. Just
spark
like
plugs at where I fish. People are
you
using
don't.
it or rocks. Like you could tell. It must be like, kids going down there and they forgot their sinkers or something and they literally strings onto rock. They're literally using rocks because are, you know, they're a piece now. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had kids bring in pennies to buy a sinker. It's adorable. I'm like, just take it.
Oh,
Just take it.
that's so cute. Oh
So
man,
I just want
maybe I
them
can donate
fishing.
some lead to
So
you. I'll donate some lead to you
oh
sometime so you can pour them for free. I think I
yeah,
have like
right.
80 pounds of lead in my garage right now.
Oh, I mean, I got bricks and bricks and bricks. I just don't have to pour it. I wish.
Yeah, that's true. Pouring it's no fun. So what's your plan coming up? So when are you? So you're going to start hitting the water a little bit more now. What's your
Yeah.
what's your your plan? What type of areas are you going to be looking for right now for the tog?
Well, actually, so tog fishing in April, but for Easter, I'm going to Florida. So it's actually kind of funny that I'm you because I know you like sheep's head, and I've never caught a sheep's head.
Mm,
Up where I am, it's not unheard of, but every once in a while, people have caught sheep's head up here. But it's like always been something that I wanted to do. But anyway, I booked a charter down in Florida, and one of the species that could possibly be on the list is sheep's head. So I called up the charter guy, right? And it was, Lucky Charters or something like that. He answers the phone and he has an Irish brogue. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, please, can I catch a sheep's head? And he's like, his Irish brogue. Well, it's kind of the end of the. And I'm like, oh, come on. Just like, I need to catch sheep's head. So maybe some miracle. I'll be lucky, huh? And catch a sheep's head down there. But I mean, snook or tarpon would be cool too because I've never caught those before.
yeah.
There are bluefish down there. I saw some pictures. Swear to God, if I go to freaking Florida and catch fish, I'm done.
So they're not typical. It depends on where you go, but the bluefish are not typically the same size as up here. They're usually the smaller
Yeah,
ones,
yeah, the little
like
ones.
16
Yeah, but
inchers.
still,
I
they're
know.
little teens. And
Yeah.
then I think I saw some, maybe speckled trout or something like that, and drum or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I'll be doing that mid-April, and then going back to Toggin, and then I cannot wait. Like absolutely, wait. I'll be going on a day of Fluke. I don't care what the weather is. Fluke opens May 4th, so looking May 4th, and then I'll try out as much as I can. But I'm the 8th grade teacher, and it'll be like crunch time for graduation and
Right.
sports and eighth dance and all that. So I don't know how much time I'll actually have but hopefully I can get out for sea bass. That'll be up. And then once the kids are gone, I will be fishing my half, even if that means buying a paddle kayak or
Paddle
pedal.
or
Is it pedal
pedal?
or paddle?
Pedal,
I don't know.
pedal,
Pedal.
pedal.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I think that you should head up to Great Bay Outfitters sometime and meet me there, and let's me and Paul hit the water for sheep's head.
Okay.
because he's kind of dialed in there, and that would be if you
Really?
are serious. Yes, and if you're really considering a pedal kayak, you can test one of the things throughout the day. You can jump on one and just actually fish it with him and get a sense of oh, there you go. He just in the chat, he's like,
I
"Oh, now
just
that's
yeah,
an
I just
awesome idea." So, yeah, so you can actually get a sense of what it feels like on the particular ones that you're thinking about doing.
yeah, I mean, how, this is gonna sound silly, I think. Like, do they make female kayaks, like, something designed for the female's body? I don't know, I feel like s
So,
fishing
mm,
in the men's world is sometimes impossible, like, certain things just don't fit my body. I don't know if that
so
makes
they
sense.
are adjustable. The pedal ones are
Okay.
adjustable for height. Um, the seats are really comfortable on the Old Town and on the Native. I think the Old Town's probably slightly more comfortable. Um, But as a matter of fact, Paul actually put on the Great Bay Outfitters page a kind of rundown comparing Old Town versus Native. Look, those are just two of the brands, right? There's a bunch of brands, but you can adjust the length of your legs so that it's a comfortable pedal on them. And what you would want is a lighter, smaller kayak. You don't
Okay.
need to be pushing around a 120-pound fully, rigged kayak. Um,
I
I
mean,
do
when I
because I
go,
weigh
I would
200
go
and
by
some
myself.
pounds. Yeah,
Okay.
so you can go with the lighter ones, and yeah, there are definitely ones that you can use. Now, the length of them, you still want a longer kayak for better tracking, which just means it goes straight. When you're going straight,
Yeah.
it wants to go straight. But yeah, there are plenty for women to. Yeah, you won't notice the difference. The only thing that you'll notice is if you get on the same kayak as somebody that's bigger, like let's say me, you're probably going to be able to stand up and walk around on it, whereas I might tip if it's right. So
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, actually, it's probably better for you. It's better for smaller people on most of the kayaks, and you're going to get at least the same stability, if not better.
Okay.
Most, not all. Yeah, so I wouldn't even
It's so
worry about that.
funny. You know how many times I've been down Radio and, never stopped in there? I'm sorry, Great Bay Outfitters guy.
Well, you
I'll
should
change that this year.
just go in and say hi at least. It's a great shop, and but I'll
Alright.
tell you what, if you end up getting a kayak, you're going to want to be there all the
I
time.
said boo.
It's like,
Sorry,
yeah,
hey, this is why, we're on Fat Dad and talking about it.
yeah, exactly. Paul, we've been
That's so
trying to get
funny.
her out on the water in a kayak for years, and she kept
I am
insisting
so
never.
uncoordinated. No,
You don't need it.
and I don't trust other boats. Like, can you put, I don't know, a giant flag on the back of
Yes.
me and an air horn and
Yep.
I don't
You
trust. I'm
should
gonna get
have
run over by a boat. I'm telling you.
you should have an air horn. It should be accessible. You should have a whistle tethered to you, and you should have a flag. I've almost been hit. But I don't have like the biggest, tallest flag. Um, but usually you're out of the way because that's one of the benefits of being in a kayak is you're not necessarily fishing where all the boats have to be. So you don't have to be in these channels. You can be off the channels fishing the holes along the edges and the boats can't get there, you know.
Uh, I So, I don't
Just give it a try.
so I'd be fishing Manasquan River and, like, I fish it from boat and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this kayaker just came out of nowhere." And, I mean, I'm very cautious on the boat, but I see other people on their boats and I'm like, "You'll hit my boat at 20 feet. How do you have a driver's license?" Like,
Right.
I don't know, I just don't trust other people.
Well, and
Maybe
you
I need
shouldn't.
to wear neon stuff, I don't know.
Yeah. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Did you see the video I had of the boat that just ran ashore right in front of me? I was fishing near Stone Harbor. This dude is wakeboarding behind a Boston
Oh,
whaler.
yeah, like 4th of
Yeah.
July or something, right?
Yeah, ran right up on the
Yeah.
sandbank.
Yep.
I was like, "What the hell just happened?" And he's like, "Can you pull me off?" I'm like, "Sure." So I grabbed the rope and I'm pedaling. I'm like, "Yeah, this is not gonna do anything." Yeah, I'm pedaling the kayak to pull this 23-foot boat off the sod bank. I was
Oh
like,
my
"Sure, man,
gosh.
let's give it a go."
That's pretty
Uh,
funny.
yeah, so you do have to be careful, but the vast majority of people will see you and will be careful. I would not advise until you're
No,
good and
Devereaux just
comfortable.
said, "See? That's what I'm worried about. That's where I would be going. Manasquan River, it's like bumper boats. Fishmonger is gonna be out in the river looking, and now they got 2 boats. I just have to stay fishmonger, and then I'll be okay. Will be the tactic.
There you go. Or you could fish Great Bay. It's not that far.
I don't have a truck to make it down that far
Well, then get a
with
car
a
top.
kayak on it. With a kayak on it or in it.
You don't need to. We'll figure it out for you. At the very least, let's get on the water and see how you like it.
All right, question. Is there a way that I could rent a space down at Great Bay Outfitters to like store the kayak down there?
I
If
can't
not, then
answer.
there's a really good business.
I can't answer for
I guess.
Paul, but he's a businessman, so he might be able to come up with something. I'll just keep your eye on the chat. It's a rent a
There,
slip
there
to keep it.
a kayak slip. See?
Yeah,
You owe me money for that.
yeah. There's
Because honestly,
possibility.
people like I don't have an apartment. I have space to like store it here, but people that have an apartment or whatever, they might need some store it. And if you could store it right there on the water, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. It's like the local lakes around here where you're not allowed to put a boat in unless it's there all season, just because they're afraid of the zebra mussels getting into reservoirs and everything, all the freshwater things. So you rent a spot and you bolt up your kayaks there
Mm,
and your little fishing boats all year. Yeah. That's a good way to do it
there
because
you go.
most people can't back a trailer and don't have the vehicles to transport them. So they do it once and then they do it
Yeah,
again in the fall.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. So you're going out on you are going fluke opening day. Are you going to be doing
yes,
boat?
yes, yeah.
Okay. I figured. I figured.
I'll be
I
out before sunrise and probably back with my limit. No, I'm just kidding. Last year, I don't think I got my limit. I think I was high. And it was like a war zone. It was literally the fishmonger came flying at me, and I'm like, that it's all done. Boats came following fishmonger, and I actually messaged and said, "Get away from me, so that way I can actually fish in peace." Sure enough, when he left my area, all the boats followed him. It was so funny.
yeah. They just follow him around because they don't know how to find the fish themselves, right?
I guess, but I mean, it's it's the river. You can't do that. I don't know
Yeah.
how people didn't like just I don't know hit the channel markers or run aground because there are really flat spots around there depending on the tide. So I don't know. Anyway,
See, that's where you stick with the kayak. You just stick on those borders and let them run
yeah,
aground before they hit you.
it'll happen. Convincing me.
Yeah. You'll probably
Credit
like
card
it.
web. So
The best way to kayak fish, even though I do open water, I'll even run an inlet from time to time. It's getting back into the marshes. So anywhere that there's marshes, it's like you can literally get lost in there. There are days that I'll drive all the way down to Cape May and I'll launch in Cape May because their backwater marsh system is so extensive. You can go back in there and just disappear, and you'll see people in the distance over top of the marshes, but it would take them 20 minutes to get to you even though you're only 100 feet apart because they can't
yeah,
get through there. And then all of a sudden, as you're going through, you hit these little riffles in about 6 inches of water, and you're pulling these little tiny striped bass out of there. And then you move on and you go through 3 feet of water, and all of a sudden it's 25 feet. And you're like, "Ooh, this is
that's a
interesting.
good
No boats
spot.
can get here." So you just turn around and you just pedal into the current, and all of a sudden you're bailing fluke. You know, Ed found a 40-foot
Nice.
hole in one of his when he was out
That's
exploring.
deep.
Yeah, 40 feet in the marshes, and
Wow.
with nice current coming through. So it was a good spot. He's done
Huh,
well there.
nice.
Yeah. So I'm also
Does
going to be
he
out
did he
opening.
know that because he has a fish finder? Sorry.
Yeah, I think he was just out looking, just exploring and using the fish finder and fishing as he went. And just one day he found it, and it wasn't where
Hmm,
you would expect it to be, and he did well. So yeah, and that's what I like doing. And I like going back there looking for redfish too. Have you caught a redfish yet?
no.
So if you can't get sheep's head down there, get a redfish
I'll try.
and tell me that
Um
you're not addicted afterwards. It only takes one. It's literally like the crack cocaine of fishing. One redfish and you'll be hooked.
I believe you. I've actually tasted redfish. Is it popular in South Carolina? Because I have a friend down in South Carolina. Literally caught it that morning and then drove to New Jersey, and I had it. It was that fresh,
Yeah.
and it was pretty good. It almost was striperish. It
Yeah.
tasted like striper. I don't know. It was good though.
Yeah. I don't think
Of
they're
course, I didn't
anything
catch it.
special to eat. But man, they can be to catch, especially if you're in really shallow water, because it's just like a freight train going through the water. Just big, huge wake. Um, yeah. So yeah, and I'm seeing in the chat, Rich is obsessed with catching
Yeah.
reds. Yes, I am. And and I'm very open about that. I am very
We need
open
a
about
whole show on it.
it. Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people that are obsessed with them. Scotty is obsessed with them, and he's never caught one. I mean, he's absolutely over overkill, and like he just wants to find one. Um, we went for a trip a couple years ago in the Chesapeake for big ones. We didn't get any, and George Bucci ended up going back the next year. I couldn't go; I was sick, but he ended up going back and doing other charters. So, I mean, you catch one and you just kind of get hooked on them now,
Hooked.
and that's because we don't live there, right? It's because they're not common, but
Yeah. It's so funny. I live literally on the water. I should be fishing every single second that I have free. And then I think of like you guys that don't live where I live and how much time you make for fishing. And I'm like, God, I suck. I should be fishing every freaking second.
well, you get used to it, and
You
it's not
do. I hate that.
it's not like a big deal. I have relatives that live down at the shore, and they're like, yeah, I haven't been to the beach in 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 4 months. I'm like, why? I would
Yeah.
want to be down there every day, at least looking at it, or taking a walk down the beach, even if I'm not fishing. Of course, I bring a
Yeah.
fishing rod, but to pretend I'm fishing. But yeah, you can just get used to stuff, and people get used to redfish. There are a lot of people that just can't stand catching redfish because they catch so many.
Mhm.
I'm That's not me, but I can tell you right now, I'm kind of sick of striped bass.
I've
Just
always, but yeah.
it's like,
Striper's last on my list. Always.
yeah, sheep's head is so much fun for me, but I hate fishing for them. I only like catching them. So that's like a weird one, right? You hook a sheep's head, and man, they can fight, and it is a great fight. It's like your adrenaline gets pumping, and especially the big ones. And man, you're just so excited after. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, "Ugh, I just want to get fluke." I don't know why. Like, I don't know what it is about fluke. But that's the only fish that I never get sick of and never want to move on from.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. You know why? Here's my theory on why. And anybody that comes to me and they're like, I really want to get my kids saltwater fishing, like which fish should I target? And I always recommend fluke. And the reason why is because it's a bottom fish that you jig for. So you're doing something. Like you have to be moving. Like kids lose interest if they're just sitting there with a bobber,
Yeah.
right? I actually don't even recommend that kind of fishing. Yeah, it's easy for the adult, but it's freaking boring for the kid if you're
Yeah.
not actually
Right.
catching something. But if you're fluke fishing, you're constantly moving. And it's not necessarily like cast and reel, because that gets boring too.
Yeah.
But you're casting, you're jigging, you're retrieving, hopefully you're catching, and then you're doing it. Like, I feel like there's more movement. It's not as quote boring if you're not catching, So I always recommend fluke, actually. That's probably the top fish that I recommend to anybody that wants to get into fishing. Or if they want, like, it's usually a guy comes into the shop and they're like, man, I wish my girlfriend or my wife fished. And I always say, take them fluke fishing, because they can actually like do something. They won't get bored so easily. So yeah, fluke rocks. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
Agree.
I like it. I like hunting for them and trying to figure out where they are. I think that's probably, you make a good point. I was hooked on fishing from like day one, and I started in saltwater, and it was fluke and it was bluefish. But when we went bluefish, it wasn't, we didn't, like, back in the day, like, you're just a kid, but back in the day it was like 90% of the people would troll offshore. So we'd be out at like the 5 fathom light, and people would be just trolling all around us, and we would very, very, very rarely troll. So we'd
For
be bottom
bluefish?
fishing for bluefish. We
Okay.
would be bottom fishing, and
Okay.
that was, it would keep you, for a little kid it was exciting. I'm keep jigging, and then when you get hit by them, these were 30 plus inch fish, damn near every one of them. So
Mhm.
it was a hell of a fight too. And then you're bottom fishing, so you pick up sharks on those bucktails too. So that was exciting. Um, but fluke was the first, and then bluefish was after that.
Yeah.
And look what happened to me. I'm just like hopelessly addicted to fishing at this point.
I'm pretty sure bluefish were probably my, like, gateway fish, just because they were so strong, and I don't know, they were easy to catch. So, my dad would always take me blue fishing
Yeah.
and trout fishing, but I hated trout fishing. It was just so boring. Like, I'm a little girl, and I would just, like, throw rods because I was getting so aggravated, and then my dad would be
Yeah.
like, "Fine, we're going home." I hope he's not watching. I'm sorry, Dad. I love you.
Well, it takes a lot of skill and patience to get really good at trout fishing too.
Yeah, I
Bluefish,
mean,
just piss them
it's
off.
stocked trout.
Yeah.
As if you don't know where they put the trout, then you're not going to catch anything. And I mean, unless you're sitting there watching the stocking truck, they don't really move that much, especially if they're just thrown in there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, trout fishing was not the most exciting. Blue fishing, yes. So take your kid blue fishing and fluking.
I really like blue fishing. Part of it was because they had really sharp teeth. So
Yeah,
that appealed to me. I didn't, I always had this thing about catching something with no teeth. I was like, what's the big deal? Maybe that's why I have a shark tattoo, because they got big teeth, and
mm.
it just,
I mean,
and
and fluke have teeth. Maybe that's
yeah,
it. You just
I've
like
been bit
teeth.
by fluke.
You were a
I've been bit.
dentist in another life.
Yeah, I've been bit by too many fluke to be proud of it. It's
Really?
Oh, I get bit all the time. Not so much
Really?
anymore. When I was younger, yeah, because I never lipped them. I've seen people do that. That is hilarious when people lip a fluke.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not
but
smart.
I have been snapped by them, just trying to get the hook out real quick, not
Is
thinking
this on a
about it.
kayak? See, this is what I mean. I'm gonna get bit by a
No,
fluke now.
no. The only thing you have to be concerned about in a kayak is letting something with teeth loose in the kayak. Then you got to put your feet up in the air and let it flop around below you like a shark. Like, you catch a shark, it's like, where do
I'm
I
not
want to
catching
put
shark.
this? You catch a big blue fish, you got to make sure you have a good fish grip, because you got to manage that head and keep it away from you. But otherwise, I mean, a fluke. No, worst thing that happens with a fluke is it gets loose, and you're just trying to keep it in so it doesn't get out, which is also hilarious when it happens to somebody else.
You're gonna have the camera rolling then, aren't you?
Yeah. We were in a tournament. Mike Warrener had what probably would have been a top three fish, and he had it early in the day. And for some reason, he had it in the boat, and he decided to measure it after he took it off the hook, and it flopped, and it went over. And we're watching him, and this dude, he goes like running. Somehow he's got the balance to like move all around without thinking on his kayak. It never tips over. He like runs to the gunnel and almost dives in after it. It's not even on a hook. He's like, he knew that he just lost a money fish. And yeah, so we got to make fun of him for that after after the pain left a little bit, because that was money that just
So
jumped in the water.
when you fish from a kayak, obviously you're using a net, right?
Yeah. Well, for most things, I don't bring a net if I'm going for striped bass because I'll never net one. I'll just
Okay.
grab it by the mouth. Yeah, I try
Yeah.
to keep them in the water as much as possible. Maybe pick it up, quick pick, and then over the other side. Um, Fluke, you have to have a net. You have to.
Yeah.
What else? Weak fish, I typically won't because I don't want the net to damage them. I'll just
Mm,
pull those in vertical. If it's a really big one, then I'll use a fish grip in the mouth and just kind of hold it at the side and try to keep the gills underwater.
yeah.
Bluefish, never a net. Um, Shark, never a net. Skates, I just want to shoot myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, but you definitely want to have a decent net. And you
Yeah.
also need to be prepared to lose the net over the side.
You don't
So
have it on like a lanyard or something?
you can. Yeah. I just put it on a float.
Okay.
That way, unless it's a really cheap one, you can get you can literally get a $15 net that'll work fine with rubber coating. That'll
I was
work
gonna
fine.
say, even with the
Yeah.
coating?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Amazon.
I'm
Yeah. They're
making
so cheap.
a list in my brain of what I need to get.
Yeah, all you need for fluke is just the net and your regular fishing gear that you have. However, for anyone thinking about going into it, start with cheap gear.
I
Get
knew you were
a
gonna say that.
cheap something until you learn like how to hold the rod when you catch a fish, so you're not dunking your reel. You get used to where the rod holders are. I've dropped them off the back before, just straight down in the water and lost rod. I lost a rod that way. 3 feet of water too. It was ridiculous. Couldn't find it. Yeah. So, but you can use cheap stuff, $30 reel and a $40, pen combo blank or whatever kind of blank you get,
I have some of those. I have them for the fishing club. I bought a bunch because the kids were showing up to catch tog with like a dock demon trout rod. I'm like,
Right.
dude, you can't use that. As much
It'll be fun.
as fun as it would be,
Yeah.
I want them to catch something. So
Yeah.
I
And they can move on to other things later. Yeah.
yeah.
So if you go, you can get set up for nothing. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right. So we're running out of time. What's your thought of how this spring's going to shape up? Because everything I'm hearing right now is it's a very, very slow start all over the
The
place.
water temperature is like, I don't know, 43 to 45 degrees, depending on the tide. So it is very cold. So
Yeah.
there's there's less than 3 weeks, right? Three
Yep.
three-ish weeks to fluke. I don't know how much that's gonna last year was very cold and muddy looking water. Like I
Yeah.
had a chartreuse bucktail on and I couldn't even see 6 inches down because it had just rained. So I think the like weather, the if it rains or if we get like it's been raining every day almost. So I'm sure that will have an effect if it stays rainy.
Right.
We all know your theory on the salinity of water and fluke fishing.
Yep.
So I think that's going to have a bigger effect than the water temperature at this point.
Yeah. And I think people need to remember those fluke that we're going to be targeting on the opening day, they're here. They've been here
Yeah.
for at least a month, at least. So the question is, how do you get them to bite? Doesn't mean they're going to be biting, but if you get in the right spot and you piss them off enough, I mean, they're very aggressive fish. You might be able to get some type of a bite manufactured there. You might have to grind it out, but they are there. And yes, I am very big on the salinity. And, when there's a lot of runoff, get closer to those inlets or even out front.
Yeah.
Um, and try that because they will shift. They will shift closer. But man, those temperatures, I saw my buddy Randy was showing me today a picture from his trip up to Raritan for striped bass, and it was 47 degrees on the outgoing. I mean, that's just, I was like, man, you need like 5 to 10 more degrees. He's like, I know. And he
Yeah.
showed me the fish finder. They're all there, but they're just
Mm.
sitting deep and they're just
Yeah.
not moving. So I think between 3 of them, they caught 2 fish, 2 keeper size,
Wow.
but just 2 fish.
Really?
Yeah. But the screen was lit up. I mean, it was lit up. So
Wow.
they were in the right
Hmm.
spot.
All right.
Just,
Well, we just need some warmer water then. And I don't think it necessarily has to do with like the air temperature. We need change in wind direction. I mean, it's been pretty windy every day, and it's not the good wind direction.
yeah.
So we need that Gulf Stream water to get a little closer and bring up the water temperature, I think. But
Well, when you head to Florida, see what you can do about it down there.
yeah,
Just move it off, move it a little bit in closer. Let's get it in
yeah.
within 50 miles. We should be good. All right. Well, it's almost time to get out there for me. I am still living vicariously through everybody on social media. So everyone keep keep posting because I still haven't been able to hit the water, but I'm definitely hitting the water for opening day fluke, assuming it's fishable weather. Otherwise, I'll just go the next day.
Yeah, you're
I'm
going on a kayak?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the kayak. Honestly, it's I think my mentality changed. You know, you go through something like I went through, and
Mhm.
I just want to get on the water with people. I don't want to jump on a charter because I don't know, or a head boat because I don't know those
Right.
people.
Yeah.
So in my ideal world, everybody that has kayaks, uh, somehow over the next couple of weeks, we'll all kind of get a flotilla together and we'll just go down and have fun. And
Sounds
if I
good.
catch fish, I'll do my best to catch fish, but I haven't been on the water. I wasn't on the water in a kayak at all
Yeah.
in 2024. So I just want to hit the water with some people. So
Sounds good.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get to you later in the year when you're all and free and happy, less stress, ready to get on.
Woo!
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I'd love to announce who's coming up next week, but I do not have that set yet for everybody. But we will be back next Monday night at 7:30. Elle, thank you again.
Nice.
We'll have to check back later in the year after you get on all those sheep's head, and
Hopefully.
we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about how great of a season this fluke season is sometime in the June, July timeframe.
Sounds good.
All right, sounds good. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week. And until next time, get out there, get on the water, and get some tight lines.